Have you ever wondered, when you turn 60 and beyond, who will truly be there for you? Not just in photos or occasional calls, but when life gets hard, when you feel vulnerable, when you need real support. It's a quiet fear many people carry as they grow older. The painful moment when you realize that the people you've always counted on may no longer be able to show up for you. Not because they don't care, but because life changes, priorities shift, and everyone gets busy. If you've ever felt this way, if this message speaks to something deep inside you, type 1 in the comments right now so I know you're with me. In this video, I'm going to share 6 essential pillars that become more reliable in family as you age. Pillars that will help you stay strong, independent, and emotionally secure no matter what life brings. This isn't about pushing anyone away. It's about protecting yourself and building a life where you never have to feel helpless again. So if you care about your health and well-being, please like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content. Now let's begin. Pillar 1, your financial stability. As you grow older, one truth becomes clearer than ever. The most dependable form of support in your life isn't another person. It's your financial independence. Money may not promise happiness, but it does offer something just as vital. A sense of safety, the freedom to make your own choices, and the quiet confidence that you can take care of yourself, no matter what happens. In your younger years, it's easy to assume that if things ever went wrong, family would step in. But over time, reality paints a different picture. Your children are building their own lives. They're juggling their own bills, their own responsibilities, their own families. And even with the deepest love for you, they may simply not be in a position to help, especially when the unexpected happens. Take Richard, for example, a 72-year-old man who had always been generous with his children. He helped pay their tuition, supported them through financial rough patches, and never hesitated to pick up the phone. But when a sudden health crisis wiped out his savings, he turned to them for help, only to discover that they, too, were drowning in their own financial worries, not out of neglect, but because life has its own demands. That's why building financial stability isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's not about being rich. It's about being ready, about having an emergency fund, a sustainable income stream, and the knowledge to manage your resources wisely so that your future doesn't depend on someone else's availability. If you're in your 60s or beyond, ask yourself honestly, have I saved enough to weather life's surprises? Is my retirement income steady and protected? Am I exposed to financial risks that could leave me vulnerable? If the answer is no, then today is the day to start changing that. Learn to budget with intention. Stay out of unnecessary debt. Make decisions that create stability, not stress. Because when everything else feels uncertain, your financial strength will be the quiet, steady force that helps you stand tall, no matter what life sends your way. Pillar 2, your physical health. There's one truth in life that no one can escape. No amount of love, wealth, or support from others can ever take the place of your health. Once you pass 60, your body stops being something you can take for granted. It becomes either your most loyal companion or the barrier that holds you back from living freely. You could have all the financial resources in the world, but if your body begins to fail you, so does your independence. Your family may love you deeply, but they can't take your morning walk for you. They can't choose your meals or push back the hands of time. That responsibility, entirely and without exception, rests with you. Too many people fall into the trap of assuming that when the day comes, someone will be there to look after them. But here's the reality. Even those who care about you most have their own lives to navigate. They may not have the time, strength, or capacity to step into the role of full-time caregiver. And when you depend on others to carry the weight of your well-being, you give away your power. That's why investing in your health, starting right now, is one of the greatest acts of self-respect and foresight you can make. Let me share the story of Carl, a 68-year-old man who had once been full of energy and drive. After retirement, he let his health slide, telling himself there would always be time to turn things around. But little by little, he felt his strength fade, his movement stiffen, and everyday tasks become harder than they used to be. His kids visited when they could, but their lives were busy. They couldn't be by his side every day. It was in that moment of frustration and fatigue that Carl realized if he wanted to stay independent, he needed to take his health seriously, not someday, but now. The good news is, reclaiming your health doesn't require extreme measures. You don't need to run marathons, but you do need to show up for yourself daily. Move your body. Choose foods that nourish rather than weaken you. Listen to the signals your body sends. And take your checkup seriously. If you've been ignoring persistent aches, struggling with low energy, or brushing off signs that something's not right, now is the time to stop. The decisions you make today will shape your future freedom. Because at the end of the day, the most dependable support you'll ever have isn't a person. It's your ability to remain strong, active, and in control of your own body. And the more you care for your health today, the less you'll have to lean on others tomorrow. If this resonates with you, comment number 2 below so I know you're here. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep walking this journey toward better health together. Pillar 3, your social circle. As we grow older, one of the most subtle but painful losses we face is a quiet shrinking of our social world. It rarely happens all at once. It's gradual. A friend moves away. A neighbor we used to see every morning stops coming outside. A loved one passes on. And one day, we look around and realize that the circle of people who once filled our days has grown faint, even silent. This slow isolation can be more dangerous than we think, because loneliness, especially after 60, isn't just a feeling. It can quietly chip away at our health, dull our mental clarity, and even shorten our lives. We often assume that family will be enough to keep us company. But the reality is, even the most loving children have their hands full. Jobs, kids, obligations. And while they may care deeply, they can't be your everything. That's why your social circle, the people who laugh with you, check in on you, invite you out, or simply make you feel seen, becomes one of the most vital pillars of support in this chapter of life. These connections aren't just a nice bonus. They are essential to your emotional well-being. Consider Margaret, a 73-year-old woman who once relied almost entirely on her family for social connection. Her sons adored her, but as the demands of life pulled them in different directions, the visits slowed, the calls grew shorter, and the days felt longer. She waited by the phone, hoping, until one day she decided to stop waiting. Margaret began reaching out to old friends. She joined a local community group, picked up watercolor painting, and slowly opened the door to new relationships. And what she found was beautiful. Her life became filled with shared stories, laughter, and the warmth of companionship she had missed so deeply. She realized something powerful. The feeling of connection wasn't something you waited for. It was something you built, whether at a friendly neighbor, a walking group, or a class at the community center. Surrounding yourself with people outside of your family creates a resilient emotional backbone. It gives you not only companionship, but a sense of purpose, of being needed and known. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, who truly brings joy, conversation, or laughter into your life right now? If the answer isn't obvious, maybe it's time to widen your circle. Because in the end, a rich social life isn't about never being alone. It's about knowing that you're never forgotten. It's about having people who energize you, uplift you, and help make the journey ahead a little brighter. Pillar 4, your sense of purpose. There comes a time in life, often after 60, when the roles that once defined who you are begin to fade into the background. The daily routines of parenting, working, and caring for others start to slow down. And with that change, something quieter but more profound can happen. You begin to wonder, what now? When the calendar isn't filled with obligations, when the phone doesn't ring as often, and when the world seems to move faster without you, it's easy to feel like you've stepped off the main stage and into the shadows, that you're no longer needed in the way you once were. This feeling is more common than most people admit. But here's what's often overlooked. One of the greatest sources of strength, of emotional and even physical vitality, is not found in others. It's found in purpose. In your reason for getting up each morning. Purpose isn't something your family can give you, no matter how much they love you. It's not something that arrives in the mail or appears out of thin air. It's something you create with intention. Think about George, a retired engineer in his 70s. At first, he welcomed the calm after decades of hard work. But soon, the quiet turned to restlessness. His children had their own lives, and his days felt long and hollow. Then one day, he decided to do something different. He began volunteering at a local school, teaching young students the basics of building and design. And with that, everything changed. His life regained rhythm. He felt useful again, energized, connected. You see, purpose doesn't have to come from a job title or a paycheck. It can be found in simple things: mentoring someone younger, creating something beautiful, tending a garden, traveling somewhere new, or even learning a skill you've always been curious about. What matters most is that it brings you joy and gives you a sense of contribution. If you've been feeling like your best years are behind you, it may be time to shift your perspective. Purpose doesn't disappear with age. It transforms. And when you nurture that spark within, you'll find a deeper kind of fulfillment that no external validation can match. Because in the end, the most powerful support you can ever count on isn't someone else's encouragement. It's the fire inside you that refuses to fade. If this message resonates with you, please comment number 4 below so I know you're still with me. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep walking this journey together. Your presence here helps us continue creating content that matters. Pillar 5, your emotional resilience. Life has a quiet but persistent way of testing us. And after the age of 60, those tests don't stop, they simply change shape. You may no longer be juggling deadlines or raising children, but you're facing other, equally weighty challenges. The fading of lifelong friendships, the loss of loved ones, health scares, and a kind of loneliness that can sneak in, even when you're surrounded by people. In those moments, it becomes clear the most enduring strength you'll ever have doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. Your emotional resilience, your ability to navigate pain, find calm in chaos, and keep moving forward, is what sustains you when the rest of the world feels unpredictable. Too often, we expect family to be our emotional anchor. We lean on our children, our siblings, believing they'll always be available to lift us up when we feel low. But the truth is, they're fighting their own battles. Their hearts may be with you, but their time and energy are often stretched thin. That's why cultivating emotional resilience isn't just helpful, it's vital. It's what allows you to steady yourself when others can't be there to do it for you. Consider Helen, a 75-year-old woman who lost her husband of 4 decades. The early days were filled with sorrow, and she instinctively turned to her children for comfort. They were supportive, but they had jobs, families, and lives that didn't pause for her grief. She realized she couldn't depend solely on them to help her heal. So Helen took a different path. She joined a local grief support group. She started journaling at night. She practiced gratitude, even on the days it felt hard. Slowly, steadily, she discovered a quiet truth. She was capable of carrying herself through the sadness. Emotional resilience isn't about denying pain or putting on a brave face. It's about embracing what you feel, allowing yourself to grieve, to reflect, and to grow through the discomfort. And it's also about finding healthy tools that bring you back to center, whether it's writing, meditation, therapy, prayer, time in nature, or simply talking to someone who listens without judgment. Because when life shakes you, and it will, the ability to stay grounded in yourself is a powerful kind of freedom. The more you nurture your inner strength, the less you'll need to rely on others to feel whole. And when the storm passes, you'll realize something profound. You didn't just survive, you held yourself together with grace. At the end of the day, the one person who walked with you through every loss and every triumph is you. And when you build emotional resilience, you become your own steady hand, no matter what life brings. Pillar 6, your ability to adapt. If there's one certainty in life after 60, it's that certainty begins to fade. The familiar routines shift. People move on. What once felt stable may suddenly feel unfamiliar. And in those moments, your greatest strength won't come from clinging to the past. It will come from your ability to adapt to the present. Aging doesn't become difficult because of the number of candles on a cake. It becomes difficult when we resist change, when we hold on too tightly to what used to be, instead of opening our hearts to what could be. The truth is, life keeps moving, and the people who find peace, joy, and meaning in their later years aren't necessarily the ones with perfect health or endless resources. They're the ones who stay flexible, the ones who are willing to bend, shift, and try again, Too many people believe that by the time they reach a certain age, they're set in stone. Too old to change, too tired to try something new. But that kind of thinking quietly robs you of growth. It keeps you from discovering new passions, forming new friendships, or simply experiencing the wonder that still exists in the world around you. Adaptability isn't passive acceptance. It's the active decision to grow with life, instead of growing bitter against it. Take Frank, for example, a 78-year-old man who had always found connection through in-person friendships. But over time, many of his close friends moved away or passed on. At first, he felt isolated, convinced that loneliness was just part of getting older. But then Frank made a different choice. He embraced technology, learned how to video call his grandchildren, joined an online history group, and even formed meaningful new friendships from the comfort of his home. He didn't erase the past. He honored it by building something new. The people who thrive in this chapter of life are the ones who remain curious, who say yes to new experiences, who look at closed doors and ask, what else is out there for me? Because your ability to adapt, to welcome change, to stay emotionally agile, to be unafraid of learning and unafraid of starting over, becomes one of your most powerful pillars of strength. It gives you the courage to keep moving forward, not with fear, but with hope. The more open you are to life-evolving seasons, the more you'll realize every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. And every stage of life, no matter how different, still has something beautiful to offer you, if you're willing to embrace it. Pillar 8, embracing technology and lifelong learning. There's a silent danger many people face after 60, not illness, not finances, but the quiet feeling of being left behind. The world is moving faster than ever. New apps, digital tools, smart devices, online services, everything is evolving. And for many, this rapid shift feels overwhelming, unfamiliar, and even intimidating. But here's the truth. Your ability to stay curious, to keep learning, and to embrace new technology isn't just a modern convenience. It's a lifeline. You might think, I've lived my whole life without this. And that may be true. But in today's world, knowing how to use a smartphone, join a video call, search for health information online, or even connect with a loved one across the country in seconds can make all the difference between feeling isolated and feeling empowered. Technology, when used mindfully, doesn't replace human connection. It enhances it. Look at someone like Rosa, a 74-year-old woman who once feared even touching a touchscreen. But when her grandchildren moved away, she decided to give it a try. With the help of a local community class and a little patience, she learned to use video chat, joined a virtual book club, and even started taking online watercolor courses. Her world, which once felt like it was shrinking, suddenly expanded again. Embracing technology isn't about becoming a tech expert. It's about giving yourself the tools to stay connected, stay informed, and stay engaged. And it's never too late to learn. In fact, challenging your mind with new skills, especially after retirement, has been shown to protect cognitive health, boost confidence, and reduce feelings of isolation. So if you've been avoiding the digital world out of fear or frustration, maybe it's time to shift the story. Start with one small step. Ask someone you trust to teach you. Take a beginner class, or simply explore at your own pace. Because the more you engage with the tools of today, the more you'll discover that you're not being left behind. You're stepping forward into a new kind of independence. In this modern world, your willingness to learn is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. And the more open you remain to growth, the more vibrant and connected your life will continue to be. Final reflections. Reaching your 60s and beyond marks a profound chapter, one filled with wisdom earned, lessons lived, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters. But along with that wisdom comes a unique set of challenges, and navigating them well requires more than hope. It requires intention. Yes, your family will always hold a cherished place in your heart. But as life unfolds, you may come to see that the most dependable source of support isn't someone else. It's the solid ground you create beneath your own feet. When you cultivate financial stability, you protect your freedom. When you care for your health, you preserve your independence. When you nurture meaningful relationships, you guard against loneliness. When you live with purpose, you give your days meaning and direction. When you build emotional resilience, you weather life's storms with grace. And when you stay open to change, you keep evolving instead of growing stagnant. With these pillars in place, you'll never have to wait on others to rescue you. You won't feel helpless in moments of uncertainty. You'll be equipped, empowered, and grounded, ready to face whatever life may bring. Because true security doesn't come from placing your fate in someone else's hands. It comes from the quiet confidence of knowing you've already prepared yourself to stand strong. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'd love to hear your reflections. What stood out to you most today? Share in the comments below, and let us know how you plan to apply it to your life. Your voice matters, and your story could inspire someone else. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support means everything, and it helps us continue creating content that uplifts, informs, and empowers. Until next time, take care of yourself, and keep building a life that supports you.